Hey guys, it's Brandon Miniman from Pocketnow.com, and in this video we're going to compare the Nexus S with the Nexus One. Let's get to it. Okay, so the Nexus S here is running Android 2.3 Gingerbread. The Nexus One is running Android 2.2 Froyo. So we're really going to focus on the perceived differences, the things that you're going to notice between Gingerbread 2.3 and 2.2. We're not going to talk about sort of the deep technical changes in Android 2.3, but overall it helps developers. It makes the system more stable. It allows it to have integrated voice over IP support right in the dialer. A lot of other little things, but we're going to focus really on the visuals, the user experience. So let's start off. We're going to turn on both devices here. And of course, the Nexus S is set up a little bit differently. Now, what you're going to notice right off the bat between these two devices is the Super AMOLED screen really shines. We've got a little bit of a glare or a little bit of a shine coming through on the screen, and the Nexus S is cutting through the glare really well, and you're able to see it. This is really representative of the outdoor visibility. So we're actually going to dim the lights a little bit so that it's easier to see the screen. All right, that's a little bit better. So let's talk about some of these aesthetic differences. First thing you want to point out here is the application tray. So of course in the Nexus One we saw, in Android 2.2, we saw this cool 3D effect where you can see sort of the icons fade away on the bottom and on the top. But in Android 2.3, or this may be a testament to the clarity of the Super AMOLED screen, it's very subtle, but you can see the icons even before they're visible, even better. So let's get a little bit closer to the Nexus S here. So you can actually see the Maps icon right there. This is a Market icon. Over here, I don't know what that is. What is that? That is messaging. You can see them all clearly, and then you can see about 4 rows beneath them. Here on the Nexus One, this is not that big of a deal again, but it's interesting to note, you really can't see the next icon, or row of icons down. They're kind of blurred out. So they've made it a lot clearer and crisper in the Nexus S, which is just a nice little visual change. Now, in the new version of Android, you get a lot more black color. For example, the notification bar at the top is now black. And some people say that it helps the sort of notification area fade into the screen and make the device seem like it has a bigger screen, but I haven't found that to be the case at all. So here we can see the black bar up there with the green icons. A notification has popped up there, and we'll flick this off. And then on Android 2.2, the stock notification tray is actually a grayish white color, as you can see here with no notifications. Let's jump into the settings on both of these devices. Okay, here we are. Again, the Super AMOLED screen really shines to bring out that black color. So we've got very similar settings here. There are a few things that are different. So if we go into, say, wireless and network, and I'm trying to tap at the same time so you get a sense for speed between these two devices, we can see the new style of checkboxes. Again, a lot of little subtle changes here in the new version of Android. Let's open up the browser on both of these. Of course, we've got different colored icons down here, so let's launch the browser. Okay, and they're going to go to the same page. Let's do a little bit of a speed test. We're on the same Wi-Fi network. Curious to see which of these operating systems loads the page faster. Of course, we want to make sure that we disable plugins, or at least have it set to the same thing. So if we scroll down here to plugins, always on both of them. So let's go to on demand just to prevent them from popping up. So let's go to Pocketnow.com on both of these devices, and we'll see which one gets there first. Okay, let's launch it, and they're off. Let's see. Okay, the Nexus One actually won by a small margin, but it actually went to Google, actually not the actual site. So we're going to scroll to the bottom here and actually load the desktop version to get some graphics loaded. Boom, they're off. Nexus S is winning. It should, right? Okay, Nexus S is done. Nexus One finished about 5 seconds later. Let's check screen rotation speeds here. Okay, so the Nexus S is faster, and the Nexus S should be faster. It's running a new version of Android. That said, they both have a 1 gigahertz processor and 512 megabytes of RAM, so inside, they're not that different. Let's kind of flick down this page and see how smooth scrolling is. So very smooth on both devices. We can do the pinch to zoom, of course, which has the nice animation effect. Now let's talk about the on-screen keyboards, because Android 2.3 has brought a new multi-touch keyboard to the table here. So let's go into a new message. So here we are. Here are the two different keyboards. What you'll actually notice, and what Google didn't tell you, is that they made the height of the keyboard smaller, which is actually kind of annoying. You can see that these screens start exactly in the same spot. I'll zoom in just a little bit to make that more clear. So the screens start in the same spot, but the Nexus S keyboard finishes up higher. That's because we've got this additional row of suggestions here on the Nexus S. So let's talk about these keyboards. What does multi-touch keyboard support mean? Well, it means that you can type faster. You don't have to lift up every finger before getting to the next letter. But in practice, this doesn't really make the typing experience any better, in my opinion anyway. So let's type the quick brown fox here on the Nexus One. We'll zoom out just a little bit so we can see what's going on. So the quick brown fox. Okay, the quick brown gauze, fair. Let's try it out on the Nexus S. And of course, by design, you're going to have a slightly better typing experience on the Nexus S because the screen is bigger. So let's do the quick brown fox. So very good word prediction on the Nexus S. I can't say in daily use that the keyboard actually feels better on the Nexus S compared to the Nexus One, but hey, this is Android. If you don't like the keyboard, change it out for swipe, change it out for the HTC keyboard. You've got a ton of different choices out there. And of course, both of these keyboards have a landscape version for those that want the maximum size keyboard. And on the Nexus S, obviously the keyboard stands out more because you're using a lot of blacks and some white on a Super AMOLED screen, which has really high contrast. Another subtle difference between Android 2.3 and 2.2 is the phone application. Now, right now, we don't have the Voice over P integrated into the phone application, but the way it looks is different. Okay, so here we are in the dialer, and you get this sort of 3D bubbly look to the letters and the numbers on Android 2.2. So we can dial like so. And over here on the Nexus S, they just look a little bit different. And presumably the buttons are bigger because the screen is bigger, so they're easier to press. And the rest of the tabs along the top are the same: call log, contacts, and favorites. So nothing really has changed besides the overall look of the dialer there. So overall, Android 2.3 on the Nexus S, while having some nice visual changes, doesn't seem that different from a consumer perspective or an end user perspective. I'd say it's about 10% faster than Android 2.2. And Android 2.2 was much faster than the previous 2.1 by about 50%. So we're seeing a smaller gain here in terms of performance, but you get a lot of added visual flair, better options for developers who are making games and applications for the platform. Definitely a 0.1 upgrade. Glad they didn't call this Android 3.0. That really wouldn't have made much sense. We'll be back soon and talk a little bit more about the Nexus S software before doing a full review on Pocketnow.com. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and thanks for watching.